Hare Krishna. Welcome back to the Bhakti-vaibhava seminar. Today we will continue with the Canto 2, Chapter 9, citing the Lord's version. Text from 19 to 24, we will deal with that. But before we just begin with that, I would like to share with you some of the quotes from Prabhupada's lectures. Srila Prabhupada gave quite some lectures on this particular chapter. Yesterday we did not have time. I just wanted to share with you first 18 verses wherein the whole idea of Lord Brahma was engaged. There was a prelude for the Lord Brahmas to engage in tapasya. And also we also saw how Shukadeva Goswami is answering the questions of Parikshit, which was some of the questions which he raised in the 8th chapter were answered in this 9th chapter. Now specifically there were some lectures given by Srila Prabhupada on the 2nd canto, chapter 9, texts probably from 1 to 18 or 16 he has given some lectures. So I went through some of those lectures and then took some relevant quotes which will be of interest for us. Well, there are so many quotes, but at least some I thought I will share it with you. So here is a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam 291, April 23, 1972, Tokyo. Just like the moon is covered with a scattered cloud, the passing cloud you have seen, everyone has experienced. The cloud passes and it appears that the moon is moving. Have you seen this? Devotee, yes. Prabhupada, actually the moon is not moving, it is Maya, illusion. It appears that the moon is moving. But similarly, the living entity, because he is a spiritual spark of the Supreme, it has not fallen. It has not fallen. But he is thinking, I am fallen, I am material. That is the reason. He is thinking, I am this body. Actually, the body has no connection with me. That is experience. That the body has no connection with the soul. The body is changing, dying. But I am the same example, the moon. The cloud is passing over in a different way. The moon is far away from the cloud. And it has nothing to do with the cloud. But it appears the moon is moving. He's again, Prabhupada in the lecture is giving another analogy. We saw that analogy of Prabhupada giving the child trying to catch the moon with the mirror. He's just very happy seeing the reflection of the moon and he's thinking that I'm very happy. But again, you see another analogy Prabhupada here in the lecture. He just elaborated on another analogy. Prabhupada here and another amazing incident he's just sharing about how we all take different roles. You know, it's like also in Kunti Maharani's prayer also we see that how she is comparing this world to be like a theater and everyone is playing different roles according to the various karmic situations they have been put into. So again, Prabhupada is quoting from his own life, how giving some example of theater. Sometimes we played in our younger age Chaitanya Leela. I introduced, and one big director, Amritalal Ghosh, he was just like grandfather. He was one of the, just like in England, Shakespeare and others, big dramatic, well-known persons. This Amritalal Ghosh and Girish Chandra Ghosh, they introduced in India theatric. So we called him to give us direction. He was giving us direction, and repeatedly he was telling that, you feel like that, especially to me, you feel like that. So actually when we played according to his direction, the audience were all crying. So the background is like that. When you have to play a role in a skit, theoretically you may know many things, but unless you really get into it, you get into the particular role, you will not be able to perform it in a much better way. So Prabhupada is making a point that you feel like that. This is what that particular Amritalal Ghosh was pushing Prabhupada. So actually when we played according to his direction, the audience were all crying. And we could not understand how they cried. We could not understand. On the stage when we played, it was so perfect that all audience were crying. Actually, we saw they were smearing over their eyes but the whole thing is artificial. But the effect of the audience became so nice. Sometimes we can think of another example also. We see nowadays everyone is having theater in their house. Previously, everyone used to go to the theater to watch the movie. Actually, what is happening there? There is a scene is set, everything is completely dark. You know, the whole setup is dark. And then there is a projector which projects the light. And then the reflection is seen on the screen. And then there is a movement of the pictures. and there is also a background of the sound, and perfect. He's he's in ignorance. Ignorance means what? He's in a dark room. You need the dark setup. Somebody turns, hey, turn off the light. You need a dark setup. In that dark setup, what is happening? You see the reflection, and you start identifying with the reflection. You start identifying with a particular role, and then when there is a heroic scene, you are in jubilation. When there is some heavy tragedy, you start to cry, and you just start identifying with that. You are into that. You are just completely you are morose, and tears are flowing. And this is what exactly is happening to us in our life, right? We start identifying ourselves with this body. We start identifying ourselves with the events related with this body, and then what is happening? Everything, there is all sukha dukkha. This is what is going on. There is a constant fluctuation of sukha and dukkha. That's what this in the material life is all about. So Prabhupada very nicely pointed out that. So that's what everything is actually artificial. The crying, the endeavors, that hard work, and planning, everything is actually becomes meaningless because we are not part of it. Actually, this world does not belong to us. We are not part of this world. So that's an important point Prabhupada stressed here. Brahma was engaged in tapasya. So Prabhupada was speaking about how Bhakti Yoga therefore requires little tapasya, not playthings. Tapasya, that we are addicted to so many sinful activities. We must give it up. That is tapasya. We must observe fasting on Ekadashi day, on Lord's birthday. These are tapasya. If we do not, we must chant 16 rounds. We must observe the rules and regulation. This is tapasya. Don't make God very cheap thing. Oh, it is very cheap thing. And we all know the kind of tapasya they were engaged in the previous yugas, and even quite some in many other practice also. A lot of tapasya is involved. We will deal with that when we speak about penance and tapasya, which we'll be seeing in today's verses. So Prabhupada says, it has been made very easy for Kali Yuga people because they cannot undergo any kind of tapasya. There is simple tapasya. Chant 16 rounds. Don't take this. Don't do this. 4 items. 4 items. You know what are those 4 items. Take prasadam. Don't take anything. So nothing is stopped. A little regulated. That this much if you do not do, then how we can expect to see God and understand God? Tapo divyam. So this is also again in the same lecture. Srimad Bhagavatam 2:9-1-4. April 24, 1972, Tokyo. So here is another quote. So this forgetfulness is temporary illusion. That's all. Actually, we don't forget. It is temporary. Atma Maya Mrite. It is action of God's external energy. Because I wanted to forget Krishna. Therefore, Krishna has helped me in forgetting him by his own illusory energy. Okay, here is another famous one. Prabhupada is speaking about how we start identifying with something. Prabhupada said, there is a Bengali proverb. Dekha jara lage bhala. If I like somebody, it doesn't matter what he or she is. There are so many instances. Attachment. There is attachment. There is no such hard and fast rules and regulation. This man should be attached with this. No. It is Maya's action. I become attached with somebody. That is going on. So Maya is acting so nicely. Maya Rupaya Ramamana. And we are enjoying Ramamana. Guneshu Asya. Actually, that individual living entity is enjoying the influence of Guneshu. Influenced by Guneshu Asya. Influenced by one kind of modes of material nature. Mamaham. And in that way, he has formed. The whole material world is going on. Srimad Bhagavatam 292. April 22, 1972, Tokyo. Now, many times we see this, sometimes there is a match, sometimes some people question, how they had such a match. That's how the attraction is. Sometimes, there is a saying in Tamil, what to say, I just try to translate it in English. The offspring of the crow. The crow is, for the crow, her offspring is the most beautiful thing in the whole world. Right? Maybe there is a similar saying in Hindi. I'm not sure. Definitely it should be there. Because crow in itself is not so beautiful. But crow is so much attracted by its offspring. That's the most beautiful thing for it. Similarly, when we are influenced by the gunas, for someone it may appear like nasty. But such a thing will be very tasty for someone. That's what it is. Prabhupada is pointing out. Prabhupada. Practical application means that this is I and mine. It is all misconceptions. Everything belongs to Krishna. I am his servant. When I say I means I am the servant of Krishna. And if I say mine, Krishna is mine. I am Krishna's. Krishna is mine. That is perfect. I and mine and all. I am Brahman. I am God. I am the Supreme. I am moving the stars. Just like these rascals, they think like that. This is rascaldom. Okay, yesterday when we heard about the Vaikuntha planets, we were hearing about the aeroplanes. So Prabhupada is speaking how everything in the spiritual world is completely spiritual. Everything has got a spiritual, everything has got the personification of the spiritual object. There is a personification. So Prabhupada speaks about that. The most subtler, and in the spiritual world that is completely spiritual, there is no tinge or contamination of anything of this material embarrassment. Ahetuki apratihata. Okay, Prabhupada, please listen to this. Prabhupada says, there is the aeroplane, is also spirit. It is living. It has taken the shape of an aeroplane, but it is living. It is not false. Therefore, there is no necessity of this petrol. Simply beautiful aeroplane, and wherever you like, you can go. They are moving in the sky, and the beautiful women, they are women just like lightning. Their beauty is so brilliant, glowing, that the women, they are themselves are lightning. And we find lightning in the cloud, very beautiful. Similarly, when these aeroplanes fly in the outer space or Vaikuntha sky, it looks like lightning in the cloud. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.13, given on May 3rd, 1972, Tokyo. So yesterday we saw that the questions of Shukadeva Goswami, Parikshit answered the questions of Shukadeva Goswami with respect to the interaction between the soul and the interaction between the material world, how the soul, what's the connection between the soul and the material world. We can see that he very clearly explains that it is all because of the illusion. And then later we saw how Lord Brahma engaged in austerities after having come from the lotus stem. Then he engaged in austerities by performing tapasya and pleased the Lord, and because of having pleased the Lord, he was given the audience of, the Lord gave personal audience of himself, and then also he showed him the Vaikuntha and the residence of Vaikuntha and all the opulence of Vaikuntha. He was able to take darshan. Now, in today's verse, there is a reciprocation by the Lord also. We will see those. Seeing the Lord in Vaikuntha, Brahma was overwhelmed and bowed down, tears flowing from his eyes. The Lord accepted him as worthy of creating the universe. Smiling mildly, he mercifully shook Brahma's hand and spoke enlightening words to him, assuring Brahma that he was pleased by his servant's austerities and submissive attitude. The Lord reveals that it was he who vibrated the syllable stapa to set Brahma on the path of austerity. Lord is pleased by his sincere penance and ready to award benedictions to Brahma. Verses 19 to 24. Tang priyamanam samupastitam kavim praja visarge nija sasanarhanam bhabhasha ishat smita shochi shagira priyah priyam pridamana kare sprishan. And seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as he desired. And thus being much satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma and slightly smiling addressed him thus. Now this is very interesting. The Lord, he very much reciprocated with Brahma after his heavy tapasya. The Lord showed himself to him, and also here in this particular verse it's explained that the Lord shook hands with him and he was smiling also. Srila Jiva Goswami, he raised a question in this connection. He says that, can Brahma have direct relationship with the Lord being very insignificant? You know, if you see there are innumerable jivas, and will the Lord give personal audience? Will the Lord have any relationship at all? So here this verse answers, yes, we can see what has happened. So the intense love that the Lord has for his devotees is expressed in this verse. Okay, Prabhupada points out, Lord Brahma has a great responsibility in delivering the conditioned souls, and therefore is very dear to the Lord. You see here, when a devotee takes responsibility in his life, for what? For satisfying his senses? No, for satisfying the Lord's mission. The Lord has a mission. One has to understand what is the Lord's mission. And that for that we have to hear from the Lord. The Lord has clearly expressed what is His mission. He wants to bring back all the fallen conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead. So who is in the front line? Who is in the front line in that battle? Come on, who is in the front line in that battle? In that battle of trying to accomplish the Lord's mission. It's something very simple you have to think about. Just now we are reading. Lord Brahma, yes, he has to create the preaching field. What is his material world? Material world is a preaching field. Unless he is engaging in his activities, taking the responsibility and taking the ownership, unless he does it, how is it that the conditioned souls are going to satisfy their perverted desires in so-called enjoyment? They're going to try and then go back home, back to God. So that is why you see Prabhupada is pointing out here. Lord Brahma has a great responsibility in delivering the conditioned souls, and therefore it's very dear to the Lord. Okay. Brahma also does his duty very perfectly, not only by generating the living entities, but also by spreading his party for reclaiming the fallen souls. You see, Prabhupada is focusing again on the same point. The party is called the Brahma Sampradaya, and any member of this party today is naturally engaged in reclaiming the fallen souls back to God and back home. The Lord is very much anxious to get back his parts and parcels as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. No one is more dear than the one who takes the task of reclaiming the fallen souls back to Godhead. So, this is the whole point. That now we may wonder why the Lord shook hands with Brahma, because Brahma submitted himself, surrendered himself. He heard the word tapa and he engaged in tapasya. He did not do any mental speculation. He completely submitted himself to the Lord and engaged in his service. And by that service of tapasya, which is actually devotional service, which we will see in these verses, the Lord was pleased by Brahma's efforts. So Prabhupada is pointing out that is why Lord is very dear to him. That's why he shook hands with Brahma. Okay. Anyone, however, preaching the mission of the Lord in the line of the Brahma Sampradaya is always dear to the Lord. And the Lord, being satisfied with such a preacher of the authorized bhakti cult, shakes hands with him in great satisfaction. This is the point. So, we want to shake, we can advertise. You want to shake hands with the Lord? Come and join our Hare Krishna movement. You'll be able to shake hands with the Lord. That's what Prabhupada says here. Anybody who sincerely takes up this mission, preaching mission, and sincerely dedicates his life in trying to glorify the Lord and please the Lord. So at the end of the day means at the end of his preaching mission, his preaching assignment, you'll be able to see the Lord face to face. The Lord will shake hands with such a devotee. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that. Another alternative translation for this verse. The Lord, overjoyed, filled with prema for Brahma, touching Brahma with his hand because of his love for him, with words lit by a slight smile. So you can see someone is pleased when you can see that slight smile in the face. Smita Krishna, that's one of the Lord's name. Slight smile is there. That shows his satisfaction also. Spoke to Brahma, who was filled with prema on seeing the Lord, and who was worthy of following the Lord's command for creating the universe. Okay, text 20. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Tvayaham Toshita Samyag Veda Garbha Sisrikshaya Chirang Bhritena Tapasa Dustosha Kuta Yoginam. The beautiful personality of God had addressed Lord Brahma. O Brahma, impregnated with the Vedas. The word Veda Garbha, proper translated as impregnated with the Vedas. I am very much pleased with your long accumulated penance, with a desire for creation. Hardly am I pleased with the pseudo mystics, Kuta yogis. The Lord is saying that He is not interested with the Kuta yogis. So many people are performing heavy tapasya. But the Lord is pleased with the effort that Brahma took. That effort was devotional effort. Just when we heard the word Kuta yogi, I was just hearing that there was one time, I'm not sure whether I gave this example before, but anyway, it's worth remembering this example. There was some Hare Krishna devotees went for Sankirtan in one beach. Okay? And they were doing Sankirtan, they were doing singing the holy names of the Lord together. And they were, at one portion of the beach, they were jumping and singing Hare Krishna, playing drums and everything. Suddenly they were hearing a voice from down. Hey, move away. We are doing tapasya here. There were some yogis who were under the sand doing heavy tapasya. And devotees were just a little shocked, Oh my God, what is that they are doing? Devotees in great bliss, blissfully chanting, jumping up and down, chanting Hare Krishna. And these heavy tapasvis are under the sand doing some heavy asanas. So when I just Kuta yogis, and this is the point. But penances like those undertaken to discover nuclear weapons will never satisfy the Lord. By nature's own way, everyone has to meet death. And if such a process of death is accelerated by anyone's penances, there is no satisfaction for the Lord. This is very interesting. What is the penance of the modern culture, modern scientists? What they are all engaged in heavy tapasya. And what is it that they have achieved? What is it that they have done? They have just accelerated our death. This is what they have done. Our civilization has become so crazy. Like today morning Bhagavatam class, we were hearing that women were supposed to be protected all the time, but unfortunately the modern culture has engaged them in heavy tapasya that they have to be in the army and take the heavy machine guns and then they have to shoot. This is the effect of the modern culture. Mother killing civilization, Prabhupada used to say. So, the result of heavy tapasya is just the acceleration of death of the human beings. That is what has happened. Okay, Prabhupada further going. Brahma underwent severe penances for that purpose, namely to regulate the process of creation so that the Lord might be satisfied. Therefore, the Lord was very much pleased with him. For this, Brahma was impregnated with Vedic knowledge. See, amazing. So, the Lord was very merciful. He impregnated Brahma with Vedic knowledge so that he knows what to do, how to create the situation so that the conditioned souls who are stubborn, we are those conditioned souls who are stubborn not to serve the Lord. We wanted to enjoy separate from the Lord. The Lord being very benevolent, very merciful, He on one hand, He accommodated our crazy desire. On the other hand, as a merciful father who cannot see the rebellious son doing crazy activities, somehow or other he will try to correct that son. Similarly, the Lord takes the responsibility, and Brahma took the responsibility on his shoulder and tried to facilitate the creation of this material world so that the jivas can come, and then the Lord sends his pure devotees. Brahma also takes part in this preaching and then try to recover the conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead. The Lord is very pleased with that effort. So whenever a tapasya is in that direction, that is very pleasing to the Lord. Now, there is an amazing verse in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, in the Rishabhadesh section, wherein the qualities of a Brahmana is exemplified there. So Brahma's qualification also we can see, because he was very chaste and very disciplined in trying to follow the instructions of the Lord. Dhritattanur ushati me purani yeneha sattvam paramam pavitram shamodhamas satyam anugrahascha tapastitiksha anubhavascha yatra. The Vedas are my eternal sound incarnation. Therefore, the Vedas are Shabda Brahma. In this world, the Brahmanas thoroughly study all the Vedas, and because they assimilate the Vedic conclusions, they are also to be considered the Vedas personified. The Brahmanas are situated in the supreme transcendental mode of nature, Sattva Guna. Because of this, they are fixed in mind control, Shama, sense control, Dhamma, and truthfulness, Satya. They describe the Vedas in their original sense, and out of mercy, Anugraha, they preach the purpose of the Vedas to all the conditioned souls. They practice penance, tapasya, and tolerance, titiksha, and they realize the position of the living entity and the Supreme Lord, Anubhava. So that means they know what is their position and what is the relationship with the Lord, and they have the great experience of that loving relationship of servitude to the Lord. So these are the 8 qualifications of the Brahmanas. Therefore, among all the living entities, no one is superior to the Brahmanas. So, Brahma was such a genuine Brahmana, who was also a Vaishnava, trying to please the Lord. Text 21. Varam varaya badhram te varesham ma vivanchitam brahman shreya parishrama pungsang mad darshanavadihi. I wish you good luck. O Brahma, you may ask from me, the giver of all benediction, all that you may desire. You may know that the ultimate benediction as a result of all penances is to see me by realization. Yesterday we heard this. What is the greatest achievement one person can attain? The greatest achievement is to see the Lord face to face and engage in His devotional service. So we saw that Brahma, by his devotional penance or by his penance, he was able to see the Lord face to face. Not only the Lord, he was also able to see his abode and the residents of his abode, all the servants of the Lord. So Prabhupada points out in this purport, when one realizes the Supreme Lord, one does not struggle hard to perform penances to achieve some higher realization. The next stage of life is to discharge devotional service to the Lord just to satisfy Him. So one is that having attained the audience of the Lord, what is it that is left for us to do? Simply we have to engage in Lord's service. Okay, so that is what in our life also it's happening for us. We are able to, by the transcendental knowledge we receive from Srila Prabhupada, we are come in touch with the Lord's holy name, His katha, or the instructions of the Lord, or the pastimes of the Lord, and we are very much fortunate enough to get the prasadam of the Lord. We are able to get the association of the devotees. So what we have to do, we have to simply submit ourselves to the instruction of the Lord and be part of His entire mission, be an instrument in His mission. Then our life becomes perfect. As here, then what will happen to us? Then we will get all the good luck. As the Lord wishes here for Brahma, the Lord's wish comes in parampara through our spiritual masters. So they all wish us good fortune. And that good fortune is we require. Otherwise it will be misfortune for us. We will struggle in this material world. So that should be our intelligence. Okay, text 22. Manishitanubhavo yang mama loka valokanam yat upashrutya rahasi chakarta paramang tapaha. The highest perfectional ingenuity is the personal perception of my abode, and this has been possible because of your submissive attitude in the performance of the severe penance according to my order. The Lord is explaining that, because this is a whole important point here. Prabhupada is also pointing out in his purport also, what is it that made the Lord to show Himself in the abode? Specifically, the Lord Himself is addressing because of the submissive attitude in the performance of severe penance. He was never puffed up. And immediately, Srila Sridhara Swami in his commentary is pointing out that how was it that Brahma could see the Lord? By his heavy tapasya. He really did the tapasya for several years and he achieved it. It was possible. No, he immediately points out that it was because of the grace of the Supreme Lord. That's why we say the mercy is costless. Then somebody may question, then why should I endeavor? No, that endeavor is required because Lord is pleased by our endeavor. But if we think that by my endeavor I achieved perfection, that is our foolishness. Our endeavor is showing that, my dear Lord, really I want to please you. And we try to engage in devotional activities by giving our body, mind and soul. We have to give 100%. We have to give 100% and we need 100% mercy of the Lord. So that is what we learn from the past times, that Lord Krishna and Mother, from the past time of the Damodar Leela, we understand that the devotee's endeavor is required, 100% of the devotee's endeavor is required, and also the Lord's mercy is required on the other side. Okay, so both of the things are required. So that's what here it is being pointed out, that Brahma's mercy is, Brahma got the mercy from the Supreme Lord. The highest perfectional stage of life is to know the Lord by actual perception, by the grace of the Lord. This can be attained by everyone who is willing to discharge the acts of devotional service to the Lord, as enjoined in the revealed scriptures, that are standard and accepted by the bona fide acharyas, spiritual masters. For example, the Bhagavad Gita is the approved Vedic literature accepted by all the great acharyas such as Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, Chaitanya, Vishwanatha, Baladeva, Siddhanta Saraswati and many others. In that, Bhagavad Gita, the personality of God, Sri Krishna, asks that one always be mindful of Him, always be His devotee, always worship Him only, and always bow down before the Lord. And by doing so, one is sure to go back home, back to Godhead, without any doubt. In other places also the same order is there, that one give up all other engagements and fully surrender to the Lord without hesitation. So what is this? All these instructions of the Lord coming in parampara should make us submissive, and in that submissive attitude we should surrender and serve. Right? If we engage in that proper attitude, submissively, anukulyena, this is what is anukulyena, a favorable way we engage in devotional service, that will please our Guru, that will please our predecessor Acharyas, that will please the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. That's the whole point. In other places also the same order is there, that one give up all other engagements and fully surrender unto the Lord without hesitation. And the Lord will give such a devotee all protection. These are the secrets of attaining the highest perfectional stage. Lord Brahma exactly followed these principles without any superiority complex. And thus he attained the highest perfectional stage of experiencing the abode of the Lord and the Lord Himself with all His paraphernalia. Now this is an interesting point. This is, you don't get we should not be puffed up. The Prabhupada is saying superiority complex. No, I am such a, Brahma could think, no, I am Swayambhu. I am the first living entity. I can do the creation. I engage in tapasya. He was very humble. And how do we know he was humble? Okay, we have to wait for some more verses to come. We will see. Immediately he's begging the Lord, my dear Lord, let me not be carried away by pride. You see, creation involves passion. Right? There is activity. There is immediately. So he is actually what? He is the what avatar? Guna avatar. He specifically deals with Rajoguna. So how to be not to be carried away by it? So for that you need the mercy of the Lord. So that is why Prabhupada is pointing out that he was not carried away by the superiority complex. He didn't develop any superiority complex. So now we can see that this kind of a heavy endeavor, people are taking so much endeavor, so much austerity, tapasya they are engaged in. For satisfying the petty senses. Now we can see in the life of Bilva Mangala Thakur. Bilva Mangala Thakur was, when we just see some glimpses of what he had done, just to be, when he was attracted by this prostitute Chintamani, he went on to perform things which we cannot imagine. So just that one incident, when that particular day, when he wanted to go and meet Chintamani, when it was a heavy rain, almost it was floods in that village, he didn't bother. That was heavy tapasya he was engaged in. He went on to, whatever it may be, let me go and then see Chintamani. That was his desire. He was so much determined. So there was so many difficulties. He was just trying to swim across a river. It was such a flood. He didn't give it up. He just went on and on and on, and then he thought that he took shelter of a boat, but later he realized that it was a dead body. I mean, who can imagine this? He just went on, and then finally with great difficulty he just ran, and he came in front of the house, and to go, when he knew that she was in the first floor, and he had to climb. There was thorns, bushes, and it was a very heavy thing. He jumped over all those things, and to go up he did not have any other choice. So he thought that there is some he thought that when there was the vine guard, there is he thought that there is kind of a stem of some plants. So he was trying to hold on to it, and then he just jumped and went in, and just later realized that it was a snake that he was holding on to. And then with all this great anxiety and then such a tension, and then when he just wanted to see the face of Chintamani, he came in front of us, I'm here. And then Chintamani was actually, it was his previous guru who came and then spoke heavy words. She just said that, my goodness, in this rain, in this situation, you took such a heavy tapasya to all the way come here. My God, if you can show little bit of this tapasya towards the Lord, then that will be your perfection of life. Complete transformation from that time. He just thought about life and death, and he thought about who he is, what is the goal of life, and he learned lessons. So, tapasya for what? Just to satisfy your senses or to engage in higher purpose of life. Tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shuddhyed yasmad brahma saukyam tum anantam. Rishabhdev gives this specific instruction. So, tapasya should be performed for higher purpose, and tapasya should be for the pleasure of the Lord. Should not be for any other motivated purpose. We will see that now. Now, there is also sometimes we can see people who do not want to engage in any kind of tapasya, or any little difficulty or anything, whatever little tapasya they are doing, they want to stop it. As I was speaking about one of my friend yesterday, that he was chanting, he was reading, and there was some reversal that happened in his life. Immediately he stopped chanting. Immediately he stopped reading. Immediately he stopped associating with devotees. Now my question is, why don't you stop breathing? Why don't you stop eating? That we never want to do. We will never do. Because if we stop breathing, if we stop eating, we will die. That should be our determination. That should be our mood. We should, come what may be, I will never stop engaging in the service of the Lord. Let there be big calamities that let it attack me. But my eternal relationship with the Lord and His devotees, that I can never give up. Enough of having been cheated in so many lifetimes. I have wasted several lifetimes, but this lifetime let me give for the Supreme Lord. That should be the mood of the devotee. Brahma also had difficulties. He controlled. Because if you remember, it is very clearly mentioned in the third canto also, that Brahma, first of all, what he did before engaging in tapasya, what he did? Can you tell what he did? Personal endeavor was there, but two things he did. It's very clearly mentioned. He sat on the Kamalasana. And what he did first, what he did? Tapasya means there is voluntarily you have to do something. What did he do? What did he do? Yeah, he chanted the mantra, but even before we start to chant the mantra or anything, what is it that we are? It's a tapasya. Yeah, what does that mean? Concentration of the mind. You have to control the senses. Sense will pull you in different direction. Mind will give you different ideas. Same thing, every day is a struggle for us, Japa. Japa means what? We have to chant the holy names of Krishna clearly and try to hear the names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pronounce the names clearly. This much effort we should take. You are walking or sitting, sit in one place, try to hear the names. Mind goes here and there, bring the mind back, trying to hear the holy name. You are walking up and down, just don't engage in any other talks. All your management talks, all your day-to-day activities, everything, put on the side. Now this is the time I have dedicated in trying to please the Lord. This is a tapasya. It's a tapasya of the mind, tapasya of the senses. Chant attentively, try to hear the names. It's a tapasya. So, when we engage, this tapasya is what? This tapasya is devotional service. This is the point. This tapasya is actually devotional service. It's not some dry austerity we are performing. This austerity is for pleasing the Lord. A devotee fasts on Ekadasi. A devotee fasts for Janmashtami. A devotee fasts for other Vishnu Tattva appearance days. This is the tapasya for purifying the senses. Such a tapasya is very dear to the Lord. We will be seeing that now. Pratyadishtam maya tatra tvayi karma vimohite tapo me hridayam sakshad atmaham tapaso naga. O sinless Brahma, you may know from me that it was I who first ordered you to undergo penance when you were perplexed in your duty. Such penance is my heart and soul, and therefore penance and I are non-different. Interesting, huh? Penance and I are non-different, the Lord says. So, what is that penance? What is that penance actually here being referred to? That penance is, in one sense, we will see in the purport also pointed out, it's actually discharging of the devotional service for Lord Brahma. So, that is non-different. So, what? There are three things, Bhakti is non-different from Bhagavan. So, that penance, which invokes the pure devotion. That is not different from me, Krishna says. Okay. The penance, please carefully look at this purport. There are some hints you will get for the next verse also. The penance by which one can see the personality of God at face to face is to be understood as devotional service to the Lord and nothing else, because only by discharging devotional service in transcendental love can one approach the Lord. So we already concluded. This tapasya what Brahma engaged was not any other process. Why? Because the result of this process was direct audience of the Lord face to face. Right? So this should be, obviously it is Bhakti Yoga we read yesterday. Such penance, please look at the statement Prabhupada is saying here. Such penance is the internal potency of the Lord and it is non-different from Him. Now you understand? There is no difference. There is the internal potency of the Lord and the Lord. There is no difference between them. Okay. Such acts of internal potency are exhibited by non-attachment for material enjoyment. This is again a very important philosophical point. When we are engaged in bhakti, simultaneously we cannot create material attachment. That is why there are do's and don'ts. That is why there is anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. Things that are favorable for devotional service, accept. Things that are unfavorable for devotional service, reject. We need to stick to these principles. This is very much required for us to make progress. That is why we hear both. Yama, niyama. Both the things are required. So that is why Prabhupada is pointing out here that such a exhibition of non-attachment for material enjoyment are acts of internal potency. Okay. The living entities are engaged in the conditions of material bondage because of their propensity for overlordship. But by engagement in the devotional service of the Lord, one becomes detached from this enjoying spirit. The devotees automatically become detached from worldly enjoyment. And this detachment is the result of perfect knowledge. So, we already have heard from the Bhagavatam, Janayatyashu vairagyam jnanam cha yadhaitukam. How does it come? Vasudevi Bhagavati. By the engagement in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord, naturally one develops detachment. So that's why also we can see Krishna also in the Gita, when he was speaking about so much in the 6th chapter about controlling the senses, controlling the mind. He could have said so many things, but he's very clearly pointing out that one needs to practice detachment. Then mind will naturally come out of the conditioning of the attachment to the material things. And for the devotees, this development of detachment is an easy process. We start to engage completely in the service of the Lord. When we are so much pushing ourselves in trying to please the Lord in engagement in devotional service, our mind is withdrawn from all the sense gratificatory pursuits. Is it clear? So the Prabhupada says, therefore the penance of devotional service includes knowledge and detachment, and that is the manifestation of the transcendental potency. Now Prabhupada points out from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said that if someone sincerely wants to see the Lord and at the same time wants to enjoy this material world, he is considered to be a fool only. One who wants to remain here in the material world for material enjoyment has no business entering into the eternal kingdom of God. Okay? So that's the whole point. So Prabhupada said, even if you are attached to one gulab jamun, you have to be born again in this material world. Now Prabhupada is speaking how the Lord is interfering in the life of a devotee. The foolish devotee of the Lord is thus put into forcible penance by the grace of the Lord. And at the end, the devotee becomes perfectly happy being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, penance in devotional service of the Lord, either by voluntary submission or by being forced by the Lord, is necessary for attaining perfection. And thus, such penance is the internal potency of the Lord. Now we can see in the life of devotee what the Guru does. Guru pushes the disciple. The devotee pushes the temple president or whomsoever is your leader. He will push you to engage in service. Come on, let's push the mission. Let's engage in this activity. Let's now Janmashtami is coming up. Let's take up some task for the Lord. Let's push. So sometimes we reduce our sleeping, reduce our eating. Sometimes we put extra hours in Krishna's service than the regulated hours with which we perform. So all these things, what happens? It forces us. It makes us absorb ourselves more in Lord's holy name, form, glories, and His mission, and we come out of the conditioning. So the Lord tricks the devotee through his pure devotees. Pure devotees engages in devotional service. So sometimes we will be attached to so many things. And we ourselves do not know how we gave up that, because we are engaged in the service of the Lord. And the Lord's service is so powerful. The Lord being the master of the senses, He could give that, He could take over our senses, being carried away here and there for trying to satisfy our petty material desires. So this is the secret. So that's why He's saying that, that's why the Lord is saying that the foolish devotee of the Lord, he is sometimes forced. So you can see also in one of the purports in Kunti's prayers, one place Prabhupada says that when a weak devotee, the devotee who is a little weak, he is actually favored by the Lord by some forcefully giving up some material attachments. That's the point. Now, here Prabhupada is again another interesting point here for us to note down. Brahmaji was sinless, and therefore he faithfully discharged the advice of the Lord, tapa, and the Lord, being satisfied with him, awarded him the desired result. So this is a very important point. How Brahma was able to engage in tapasya, how some devotees are able to, because the more we get purified, the more our mind and senses will not be agitated. So then we will be able to take a more responsibility, then we will be able to be fixed, then we will be able to be regulated, then we will be able to be enthusiastic, then we will be determined, then we will be patient. All those things will happen. Till the time there will be struggle, it will be a heavy struggle. That's why it is said that the person who is a Paramahamsa is always relishing and is super happy. Never he is disturbed. And the other person who is very happy, another person is very super happy in ignorance, is the most ignorant person. Fool is also very happy. Sometimes a person who is in between, he wants a little bit of material enjoyment, a little bit of spiritual life also. He is going to suffer like anything. But a devotee who is constantly striving, he knows this material enjoyment is a stumbling block. He knows material attachment is alluring. Such a devotee with steadiness, depending on Krishna's words, depending on Krishna's instructions, depending on devotees, depending on spiritual master, forcefully is waging war against Maya. Such a devotee will make steady progress. He will be able to cross this stumbling situation of the anarthas, and he will be able to cross the anartha nivritti stage. So this is the point. So Prabhupada says that. So because Brahma was sinless, so please remember this. So that is why it is very clearly said that we should never stop yajna dana tapas chaiva pavanani manishina. The whole point. Always we should continue with the devotional service. So come what may be, any disaster happen in our life, we should never give up our chanting. Go on with the practice of devotional service. Okay, I will just see the Vishnu Chakravarti's commentary. How Prabhupada spoke directly from Vishnu Chakravarti's commentary on this, we could see that. These words were spoken by me when you were bewildered about how to create the universe in the beginning. O sinless Brahma, austerity for attaining me is my heart, and I am the soul of that austerity. I only spoke instructions to you when I spoke at the beginning of creation, when you were bewildered about what to do. Austerity indeed is my Shakti. It is my heart. This means that I desire that the Jiva give up enjoyment of material life, since that is favorable for Bhakti. So unless the Lord desire Jiva to give up, very difficult for us to give it up. We will be allured. So we have to take Krishna, please help me. Gopinath, Mama Nivedana Shuno, Vishaya Durjana, Sada Kamarata, Kichu Nahi Mora Guna. You have to pray to the Lord. So the Lord's glance is on us. We will be able to come out of this lust. In one purport, Prabhupada is so much speaking about how we have the shackles of Maya, attachment to women and money, completely knocks us down. But for one who has got the mercy of the Lord, you will be able to overcome that condition. So we can see here. I will gradually take away the wealth from the person to whom I show mercy. These words are well known. If that austerity is performed for attaining me, it is my heart, but not otherwise. Without me as the goal, austerity is without life like a corpse. This is true for the materialists who perform austerity with a desire for material pleasure. Even though you have performed austerity with a desire to create the universe, because I have inspired that desire, that austerity is pleasing to me. It is actually performed without desire. Thus I have showed you my planet. So the Lord is pleased by the austerity of Brahma, and as a result, he was able to see the Lord and his planet. Now, this particular verse, the Lord is saying that He Himself is engaged in penance. Now let's see. Text 24. Srijami tapasai vedam grasami tapasa punah bibharmi tapasa vishwam viryam me dushcharam tapah. I create this cosmos by such penance. I maintain it by the same energy, and I withdraw it all by the same energy. Therefore, the potent power is penance only. Purport. In executing penance, one must be determined to return home, back to Godhead, and must decide to undergo all types of tribulations for that aim. Even for material prosperity, name and fame, one has to undergo severe types of penance. Now, the Olympics 2021 is going on. You are all great rishis. You do not know what is going on in the outside world. So many people just to go and then be in that Olympics, be as a member, as a participant. For that they have to undergo so much tapasya, unimaginable tapasya. In eating, in sleeping, in keeping the body fit, in practice, in performance, and then going to a level. Then they gradually get entry into the national level, and when you are really exceptionally good in national level, you will be selected for the Olympics. Just for the simple Olympics that is happening here, so much tapasya is required. So tapasya is an unavoidable thing. Even for material prosperity, name and fame, one has to undergo severe types of penance. Otherwise, no one can become an important figure in this material world. Why? Why then would there not be severe types of penance for the perfection of devotional service? Prabhupada is raising. Why not? Prabhupada here in this purport is making an amazing point. An easygoing life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. Everything should be very comfortable for me. Everything, all arrangements should be done, and then I will come and cut the ribbon. Not like that, we can see in the lives of great devotees, they have done so much hard work for the pleasure of the Lord. And that, how did they do? Oh my God, with great bliss. They took it as a bliss. They took it as a great opportunity to surrender. They showed their surrender to the Lord. In all the trying circumstances, they were always victorious because of their submission to the Lord's will. They were saved in all the situations. Okay, the Lord is more clever than any living entity. Therefore, He wants to see how painstaking the devotees in devotional service. The order is received from the Lord, either directly or through the bona fide spiritual master, and to execute that order, however painstaking, is a severe type of penance. One who follows the principle rigidly is sure to achieve success in attaining the Lord's mercy. Now you have joined the Gurukula, so you have a lot of tapasya to perform. You have to wake up very early in the morning, and then you have the morning program. Then you have seva in the Goshala. You have seva. Sometimes you go and then cook. Sometimes you bring wood for the Lord. Sometimes you go out and distribute books. Sometimes you go and then worship the Lord, worship the deities. So there is tapasya involved. And then take your time, absorb yourself in the scriptures, study, and try to understand the conclusions of the acharyas from various angles, and submit oneself to the teachings of the Lord. So this requires heavy tapasya. Mind should be controlled, senses should be controlled. We should come out of the sinful proclivities. We should be sinless. The more we are sinless, the more we will be able to appreciate and then go ahead in this spiritual. So we can't be lazy. This is the whole point. Everyone in this world has to take up a sincere austerity in the engagement of the Lord's service. So then we are in a very safe zone. So that's why Prabhupada is saying an easygoing life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. Now in this shloka, one may raise a question. Wait a minute, Prabhu, I have a doubt. I create this cosmos by such penance. I maintain it by the same energy. Well, it appears like a contradiction that we hear from the scriptures. What is the contradiction? The Lord says, or the Upanishads, the Shruti says, Na tasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, svabhaviki jnana bhala kriya cha. Whereas here the Lord says, what does he say? Srujami tapasai vedam grasami tapasa punah bibarmi tapasa vishwam viryam me dushcharan tapaha. So he says that I create this cosmos by such penance. So the Lord is doing tapasya, is it, to create this cosmos? Here he says that I create this cosmos by such penance, he says. So how do we understand that? Now, that's why I said, please, there is a hint Prabhupada gave in the previous purport. And also here also we see. Here, the point that is being made is that the devotional service is the tapasya. The devotional service here, the Lord is referring to it as penance. So what is devotional service? Now we will see from two angles. From the perspective of Brahma and from the perspective of the Lord. Now for the Brahma, the tapasya that he engaged in trying to please the Lord, that is the penance. And that penance was Prabhupada referred it to as what? If you are observing it very carefully in the previous purport. Devotional service. What is the word Prabhupada used? Did you observe it? That's why I told you to pay attention when I was saying that. Very clearly, here, I am just going to the previous purport. See what Prabhupada says. Again, I am going to the previous purport and reading the previous purport. Such penance is the internal potency of the Lord, and it is non-different from Him. Are you able to understand? So now what the Lord says here? I create this cosmos by such penance. So that what is the penance referred to here? Internal potency of the Lord. And that's our philosophy. From Lord Krishna, what is coming out? Swarupa Shakti. Right? And then Swarupa Shakti is Chik Shakti, then Sandhini, Samvit, Ladini. So actually the Lord is referring to the Ladini Shakti. So the Lord is not different from Ladini Shakti. And we can see everything perfectly syncs. Bhakti is the point here. Right? Lord is not different from Bhakti. So the Lord is creating, so the Lord is setting such penance. And also another thing we can understand, the Lord also performs austerities. He, in his incarnation, he shows himself that he performs austerities. As whom? Naranarayana, the Lord is performing austerities. But here it's very clearly showing that it is referring to the devotional service. Another point we can discuss here. We will see. We will come to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary and how he is also pointing out. Prabhupada exactly is pointing out that this refers to that. So thus this contradiction will be very much clear. And also another point that I wanted to say is that the Lord also, He Himself sets an example. Yes, I also engage in penance. So by that what the Lord is showing, you have to engage in penance. That is why you see the purport Prabhupada, how nicely he is putting it. An easygoing life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. Don't think this spiritual practice is something cheap. So this is giving us a warning how we should take it up seriously. And we can see, how all great personalities engage in tapasya. Srila Prabhupada, Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, in one of his recollection of memories, he says that Prabhupada was untiring in his preaching activities. Heavy tapasya he was engaged in. Now we just heard recently from Prabhu Prabhu that how Prabhupada used to travel from different places. Just come, you just set the clock according to the local time. Just go sit in the asana and give a class. Whole night he traveled. Jet lag. We have no clue what is jet lag. If you are regularly traveling, we will know. When we go for a program to Namakkal or when we go for a program to Karur, just when we go for a program to what is the place you are going and then preaching? Kalakurchi. No, it's just we come late, 11:30, 12 o'clock, and I have to immediately understand the heart of the voice. Just for those devotees who do not know where are these places. From Salem, Kalakurchi is some 3 hours drive, and Namakkal is some 45 minutes drive, and Karur is some 1.5 hours drive. And usually when we come back for the program, it's 11:30 or 12 o'clock in the night, and for one night we collapse. And then immediately after that, first of all, to wake up for Mangalarti is a challenge. If you wake up and then come, we are completely in a hallucinated state. And then immediately for next 2.5 hours, we will take good rest. And then again, we will come and then sleep in the Bhagavatam class. We need so much rest. And I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying that that's our conditioned nature. So difficult for us. But Srila Prabhupada was pushing so much. And he was completely in the transcendental state. So he was also engaged in tapasya. With tapasya. There was one Mataji. Her health, I think she was a Prabhupada disciple. She was distributing books in the West. They diagnosed that she has cancer, but she till the body was movable. She could move with the body. Every day in and day out she was distributing books. This is something amazing. How devotees are determined to please the. What is the thing that was pleasing? That was pushing her. in this way I want to please Prabhupada, I want to please Krishna. So that pleasing endeavor, that is bhakti, that is the internal potency of the Lord, that is pleasing to the Lord. So that's the whole point. So that spirit we should have. That spirit we should imbibe. That's what we are trying to do, go through this Bhakti-vaibhava Course and all these things. We should ultimately develop that spirit of trying to accomplish some tasks in the mission of the Lord. So that's the whole idea. So this, regularly hearing these verses, regularly hearing the teachings of the Lord will give us that inspiration to submit ourselves to the Lord and do something for the Lord and His mission. So that's the whole point. By austerity, I create, destroy and maintain the universe again and again. My power arises from intense austerity. So, this is what Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says. I am always a performer of austerity, since I renounce material enjoyment, being the master of the spiritual Ladini Shakti. That is stated in this verse. It also indicates that from this detachment arises my ability to create and destroy the worlds. Okay? So Krishna himself says that because the Lord is not attached to any mundane thing, and he says that detachment is the power behind all his activities, the Lord is saying. So this is something amazing. Now, another thing that we can see that in our endeavor, so I spoke about, as Gurukul boys, you have certain austerities perform. Now think of any service. Now somebody is a pujari. Pujari means day in, day out. It's such a tapasya for the mind. Can I go for 2 days holiday? No, day in, day out. You have to be on time. Everything should be super clean. Everything should be done with such a devotion to the Lord. Then the Lord is pleased. Then you can see the deities are shining. The whole temple atmosphere completely is raised. Punctuality should be maintained. And think about it. Now we are doing heavy kirtan. Okay, we are doing heavy kirtan. Festival day, so much decoration. Everything is festival day. Extra heavy load for the pujaris, right? And everything is done, the heavy kirtan, everything is over, and then we have a big feast, and after feast, who can wake up? You tell me. But Pujari, 4 o'clock, he has to be right there on the altar, wake up the deities. Of course, he plans his day, but like that, really pushing. Let me take a break. No break. Austerity, heavy tapasya. Book distributors, same thing. Day in, day out. Those devotees engaged in temple construction. Such a tapasya to be on the hot sun, pushing, see that the stones are on place. They are collapsed, sometimes they are tired, they don't get time for rest. And devotees are engaged in such tapasya, but it is very pleasing to the Lord. At the end of the day, you will see smile in the face of Prabhupada. You can see smile in the face of Krishna. I was really very happy when Prithu Prabhu came here that day. He was walking with us and he just saw the construction and everything. And then he said, when Prabhupada will see this, he will be so pleased, he will be so happy to see this. So I was just thinking that such great effort is being taken by all the devotees. So much hard work they are doing. So ultimately, if Prabhupada is pleased, Prabhupada is happy, that's the perfection of life. So that tapasya, not some dry tapasya bereft of higher purpose in life. So this tapasya for pleasing the Lord is actually pure devotional service. So that's the message we are getting from here. So we will stop here. Well, I wanted to discuss some more examples, but didn't have time. Oh well, I can just speak for 2 more minutes. I just also made a note of Sohatra Maharaj in one of the lectures was very nicely explaining about Mandavya Muni. Mandavya Muni was engaged in tapasya and he had such a difficult situation. The difficulty is that he was pierced by the lance. I'm not going to get into the story. He was pierced by the lance because they thought himself to be one of the robbers and they caught him and he was punished. They pierced the lance in his back. But he went on performing the tapasya. The king later realized that I made a big mess of it. I'm very sorry. We found the wrong person. You are not, I don't think so. You are. Because they figured out that everybody, whomsoever was pierced with that lance, everyone else died. But then when the soldiers came and then saw this Muni is just going on performing some tapasya, they tried to remove that lance. They couldn't remove it also. They just broke the lance from down and it pierced and came out of the top portion they broke, the down portion they broke. That portion which pierced inside is still there. He just went on performing tapasya. And then the king came and then asked, begged forgiveness. He said sorry. He said, never mind, it's okay. He didn't say anything. He knew that this is not the mistake of the king. But later we know when he went when he went to meet Yamaraj, he asked him, so what is it that I have done for which I have to undergo such a suffering? I would like to know. So then Yamaraj said that, oh, you know, when you were a young boy, you know, what is that? You pierced the ant's eyes. So you have to, so then he said that as a child, I might have done some activities. It's wrong. For this, I should not have undergone this punishment. What your judgment was wrong. So you become a Shudra. You were born as a. So that's why he was born as a Vidura. Well, the Lord has a plan with that activity. But the point that I was thinking was that Mandavya Muni has to go through this suffering for the minor sin that he committed. But now for us, who knows what kind of sins we have committed? My God, we do not know what we have done in our previous lives. But we are having little difficulties with the body, little difficulties with the external situation. We should not just for every small thing give up our endeavor in trying to please the Lord. We should take up whatever as assignment that we have got, whatever that our Guru and our authorities have given us to perform. We should take it with full vigor, with full heart. Then like Brahma was pleased Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, we will also in Parampara try to please our Acharyas, our Guru and our authorities and our Acharyas. In that way, we will also for sure be able to get the audience of the Lord and His abode, and in that way our life will become perfect. So we will stop here and we will continue tomorrow. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.